The internet buzz and hype surrounding this TV has been intense, and now we've finally got one here to test. Is it the best TV of the year? Hello and welcome to another video on AV Forums. I'm Phil Hinton, the site editor, and I'm a fully trained ISF and THX calibrator with 20 years of experience. In this video, we're taking a look at the Sony A95L QD OLED TV. The Sony BRAVIA A95L is the Master Series flagship model for 2023 and uses the second generation QD OLED panel from Samsung Display, added to the proprietary XR cognitive processor, which all adds up to one of the most anticipated TVs of this year. The A95L is available in three screen sizes: a 55-inch at £3,000, a 65-inch at £3,700 and a 77-inch at just under £6,000. We're reviewing a retail example of the 65-inch TV, which was supplied by Peter Tyson. We want to thank Peter Tyson for their assistance in providing retail units for us to complete these reviews and of course the comparisons. If you'd like to support our videos and our channel, then why not consider buying your next TV from Peter Tyson by visiting their e-commerce website at petertyson.co.uk, or you can get all the details in the description below. Many thanks for your support. For those of you who want the too long didn't watch quick roundup so you can move on to your next video, then here it comes. But please do consider subscribing for us getting to the point quickly. The A95L has the full benefits of second generation QD OLED with its stunning colour volume and decent image uniformity, added to what Sony does best with image upscaling, motion and video processing, which adds up to one of the very best OLED TVs of 2023. There is no such thing as the perfect TV, and that is certainly true here, with some areas slightly lacking when compared to its peers when it comes to gaming and only offering two HDMI 2.1 ports, with eARC using up one of those. Plus, it's a very expensive TV when compared to the LG G3 and Samsung S95C, as these all have very similar picture quality. But with that said, SDR content is stunning on the A95L, with superb black levels, just above black shadow detail retrieval, and an utterly convincing colour performance that looks natural, lifelike and accurate. Added to this is some of the best upscaling and motion in the business, making the A95L an excellent choice for SDR movie watching. And this is also by far the best Sony OLED we've ever seen for HDR image quality and brightness. The sheer dynamic range on offer is stunning, with excellent detail retrieval in very small specular highlight areas, added to superb mid-tone and shadow detail that adds real depth to the image. Colours are accurate and natural, with stunning lifelike skin tones, adding a real cinematic sheen to proceedings. Plus, unlike the Samsung S95C, Dolby Vision is present and correct for those of you who feel it's important to you and important on your next QD OLED TV. Gaming is also strong here, with two HDMI 2.1 48 gigabit per second inputs featuring VRR, ALM, eARC and 4K 120 HFR playback, along with a new game menu bar with direct access to VRR and other controls. There's also going to be a firmware update very soon that adds 4K 120 Dolby Vision gaming, along with the adjustable screen size feature. And we also measured input lag at 16.3 milliseconds for 4K 60 and 7.9 milliseconds for a 120 Hz signal. Sony continues to push forward the QD OLED case, and it does so with stunning image quality, motion reproduction and imaging processing, and it's clearly a best-in-class performer. Right, let's start some nitpicking. We go into picture quality measurements in detail with any written review on AV Forums, so head over to read the details there for the out-of-the-box and calibrated settings. We fully measured and tested the out-of-the-box settings as well as calibrating this Sony, and we put it through some rigorous testing, including side-by-side comparisons with its closest rivals. The A95L has a new professional picture preset that replaces the previous custom setting, and this is not quite as accurate out of the box because it has too much red and blue in the mix. This gives the image a reddy blue tint to whites. The Rec 709 colour gamut is also pulled slightly towards blue thanks to the white point. These issues are solved with a full manual calibration on the A95L, and there's also an option to run AutoCal through CalMan. With HDR10 content, the Sony A95L measures in at an impressive 1348 nits on a 10% industry standard window and 255 nits full screen. These numbers are very close to those achieved with the Samsung S95C, which uses the same second gen QD OLED panel, and with the WRGB MLA equipped LG G3, which was also very close in terms of the results here. With PQ EOTF tracking to ST2084, the A95L uses just one tone map for 1000 and 4000 nit master and display metadata signals, and it follows the standard until around about 1200 nits, where it then hard clips to the peak brightness. This is exactly what we would expect from Sony and its approach to HDR tone mapping. Wide colour gamut to the DCI P3 standards is very good, with excellent saturation tracking to the standard for all the colour points. We measured BT 2020 at 86% XY and 91% UV, with P3 coming in at 100% for both XY and UV. Starting with uniformity, the Sony A95L was very similar to the recently tested Samsung S95C, as they both use the same second gen QD OLED panel, and we noted here the same faint but noticeable vertical banding seen in dark viewing conditions. The first gen sets like the S95B and Sony A95K were very clean in this regard, so it is a little bit surprising that these second generation panels are not quite as clean. However, users shouldn't really worry about this at all, as we didn't see any of these faint bands in dark scenes when viewing in dim surroundings. At all other brightness levels, there's also no sign of dirty screen effect DSE, and there was no vignetting to the panel edges, and the viewing angles were also very good with no obvious colour shift or tinting. Black levels are very good, as you would expect from an OLED panel, with excellent just above black detail retrieval that helps add some real depth to the image. One drawback in some very bright rooms is the screen surface and the lack of a polarizing filter to reject ambient light that falls on the screen. In such surroundings, the screen has a raised level of black, which is also the case with content being viewed. Carefully positioning the TV in relation to light sources within your room will mitigate the issue fully. Video processing is a Sony strong point, and that's certainly the case here with the latest XR processor. Upscaling was absolutely stunning, with no obvious artifacts ringing to edges or junk pixels. Even with reality creation switched off, the resulting image sharpness was still very good, with plenty of detail retrieval from high quality 4K sources or upscaled HD content. Upscaled SD can look a little bit soft from broadcast channels, but there's just no processing on the planet that will ever make that look good. Motion reproduction on the BRAVIA A95L is also superb, with correct 5.5 pull down applied to 24 frames per second material with motion flow switched off. There are new separate settings within motion flow for smoothness film for 24 frames per second material and smoothness camera for 50 and 60 Hz broadcast content. This means that if you see judder within 24 frames per second material due to OLED's near instantaneous pixel response time, you could change the smoothness film setting to +1, which would smooth out the judder without adding any obvious interpolation or soap opera effect. Or, if you watch sports and want smooth looking images with broadcast video images, you can also add interpolation using the smoothness camera setting. Out of the box with SDR and HDR content, the Sony A95L is utterly brilliant and has a real cinematic sheen to film reproduction. Blacks are deep and with plenty of shadow detail, with specular highlights adding huge dynamic range and pop. Motion is absolutely excellent, and there's superb detail and sharpness to the image. Skin tones also look lifelike and believable, with colours looking accurate and natural, and it's with colour where the Sony does start to look stunning, with none of the red push that's seen on the Samsung S95C, which could be distracting from time to time. On the A95L, there is a naturalness to the colours at all brightness levels, and this is one area where the Sony stands out from all other OLEDs in this market position. Sound quality is also great on the Sony, as it uses the Acoustic Surface Audio Plus, which utilises two actuators that vibrate the screen to create the sound, and there's also two subwoofers used to fill in the lower part of the audio frequencies. Having sound come directly from the screen and the actors' mouths adds some really nice realism to proceedings. The A95L comes with two provided remote controls. The first is a traditional square-edged black plastic remote covered in lots of buttons. The second is a slick rounded model that fits neatly in the hand and has fewer buttons, making it easier to use, and it also adds a total of 6 direct access keys for streaming services at the bottom. It also, very importantly, features a backlight for use in dim surroundings, and it is nice to get a premium feeling remote with a backlight at this price point. LG, take note. Next we move to comparisons, and as always you should use these as illustration only. This is due to the fact that the camera has a limited dynamic range and the video is then edited and compressed, and it's then uploaded to YouTube, which compresses the video even more, and then you view it on your display, which is probably not calibrated. So you're really not seeing what I see here in person. So you should use the following clips for illustration only. We lined up our first comparison with the LG G3, which is the screen that also scored 10 out of 10 this year and also has a Best in Class award. So for this comparison, we set the Sony to professional mode and the LG G3 was in filmmaker mode. This really is a difficult comparison to assess, as each of these screens really is at the top of their game for both technologies. The LG G3 is by far the best WRGB OLED we've ever tested, with superb brightness thanks to micro lens array MLA and brightness booster Meta technology. The video processing is also now at a very similar level to the Sony, and having narrowed the gap, the LG G3 really is a high-end panel that movie fans will love as well as gamers. We're all aware of the visible differences in white comparing WRGB to QD OLED when they're sat next to each other in comparison, so I'm not going to labour the point here. While the LG G3 misses out on having the same colour volume on tap as the Sony possesses, there are only really a few occasions in normal film TV content where that really makes any kind of difference, and is only really visible in a side-by-side comparison. Image quality and HDR brightness are both very close indeed, and it really does come down to the finest of margins and your personal choice which one is the best based on you for picture quality alone. Where we start to see more differences is with items like the number of full bandwidth HDMI 2.1 ports and gaming features, and how important that will be to your purchasing decision. The G3 has 4 full bandwidth ports, and this allows you to have 2 HDMI 2.1 gaming consoles, a gaming PC with 2.1 capabilities, as well as a soundbar using eARC. With the Sony, you only get 2 full bandwidth HDMI 2.1 ports, but if you want to then use a soundbar with eARC, that cuts you down to just 1 port. These two really are neck and neck when it comes to image quality, but there is quite a difference between them in terms of pricing, with the 65-inch A95L I'm reviewing here priced at almost £1,200 more than the equivalent 65-inch LG G3, which is valid at the time of this review in October 2023 in the UK. Next, we move to the Samsung S95C versus the A95L. Again, the Sony on the right was set to professional mode out of the box, and the Samsung on the left was set to filmmaker mode. Cutting to the chase quickly between these two sets, the Samsung S95C uses the same panel as the Sony, but it doesn't feature Dolby Vision HDR, as Samsung just won't have that on any of their TVs. Come on Samsung, let's get that situation sorted out. The video processing is also different, with Sony having the better upscaling and motion results compared to the Samsung. However, Samsung then has the upper hand when it comes to gaming features, with 4 full bandwidth HDMI 2.1 ports if that's important to you. In terms of picture quality, the S95C and A95L are very close, with the Sony showing just that little bit more quality in terms of overall cinematic motion reproduction and image accuracy, along with excellent colour handling that isn't as garish or in your face as the Samsung. Again, these are really fine margins of differences that really only come to light in full side-by-side testing like this. Sony also has the price premium over the Samsung, with the same approximate £1,200 difference between 65-inch models at the time of this review in October 23 and obviously in the UK. Right, let's wrap this up. As always, there's no such thing as the perfect TV, and once again, which of these sets suits you and your needs will be different for everyone's use cases. There is no doubt that the Sony BRAVIA A95L is one of the very best OLED TVs available on the market right now. The image quality is outstanding for critical movie viewing, with the benefits of the much brighter second generation QD OLED panel and the colour advantages that offers. Plus, the A95L also has some of the very best video processing capabilities on the market, with superb upscaling and motion reproduction. Plus, it's also a very good gaming TV with most of the features any avid console gamer would need. The downsides really are few and far between, but at launch, this is a very expensive option, especially when you compare it to the superb LG G3 and Samsung S95C, which at 65-inch screen sizes are £1,200 cheaper in the UK at the time of this review in October 2023. The choice, as they say, is yours to make. If you enjoyed this review, then please do give it a like. And if you want to see more TV reviews from AV Forums, then why not subscribe to the channel? Thanks for watching.